Hello and welcome to Mike's Garage. If you've already subscribed to our YouTube channel, thank you very much. If you haven't, please do. And when you do, please tap on the little notification bell and you'll be notified every time we put up a new video. Now, in our last video, what we did was take this fork leg off of here. Here is said fork leg. We did it in a specific order so that it came apart nicely, and it did. Then we cleaned it up, and we're ready to put it back together now. We also took advantage of the time. Cameraman Mike said, gee, while they're off, I'd like to polish them. And he did a beautiful job. They're really pretty now, so that was kind of a neat thing to take advantage of when the forks were taken apart. I might also add, in the last video, I ragged on him for complaining about his leaky forks, and the funny part of it is, it's because I've been complaining about his forks and bugging him. I just had the chance to make fun of him, so I did. Okay, now we have that all cleaned up. All right. Now, if you watched the previous video, this will make more sense, so I hope you did. Basically, I taped up the fork plug right here. Being that this is a late model Dyna, those plugs slide right through the trees, so I don't remove it until I'm ready to put everything back together. So notice the plug is still in there, and that I did get the leg off, got everything cleaned up, and we're ready to put it back together. So the first thing to remember, for me anyway, I mean, I can refer to the pictures in the book and all that sort of thing, which really helps. But again, taking things apart in order really is really helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the, the top cover off of here. And then I'm going to take the seal off, or the dust cover off. I don't know if you call that a dust seal, maybe. Okay. And I'm stacking it as it comes apart. The next thing is the snap ring. Come on, snap ring. Then the seal. Oops, didn't mean to throw it at you. But notice the direction that the seal came off, because that's the way you want to put it back on. With all this big chamfer going to the inside. Yep. Okay. All right, now what we're going to do, we can take this washer off too, is we're going to put this leg back in the vise. And where is the little cap that goes here? There it is. Didn't get cleaned. I didn't clean it. You know, the idea of cleaning this stuff really is just about getting all the crud out of there from the old fork oil that you're changing. And you want to remember that this thing is still wet inside. So when you go to fill it, you're going to want to put in a little less than full amount to make it all balance out. Anyway, there that is, all clean and nice. We're going to slide it back on there and it'll stay in place. And then we have the slider, the bolt that's going to go on the bottom of the slider. And we have a little copper gasket. We'll put a little bit of, I can't help it, I use a little gasket sealer on those just as an extra bit of, I guess, precautionary measure, whatever you'd call it. And here it is. We'll put it on there. Now when you're cleaning all the stuff up, you want to clean out the sliders. And where that gasket goes in there is pretty important too. Okay, let me put that slider on there. And the gasket on the bolt. And then I can put that in there, start it in there with my little tool I made. And it's not starting. And that's a good thing. So I can reach in here with this little punch and get it lined up. I put a little pressure on it, I'll actually hear it pop into place. Not so. Only happens when nobody's watching. Okay, let's see if that'll go in yet. And there it is. Okay, it's now in place. Now I took the old one out with a hand impact. And there is a torque spec for this, but the torque spec I use is just to hit it quickly with an air impact. Thank you, Mike. He's got his hands on it. And there it is. All right. That wasn't too painful. So the next thing would be to put the washer in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this in the vise. Again, that vise is all padded up. There's copper jaws under the pads. And we're going to drop this washer on there. And that washer goes right down there onto that bushing that slid up when we took it apart. So I think we'll just put that right back in again real nice. And there it is in place. This is a really nice tool. I'm not sure who made it. Oh, Racetech made it. That's for installing seals and all that good stuff. So we can now put the seal in place of the old one. And there it is. Again, being very careful to put it in the right direction. So all that big chamfer goes toward the oil that's in there. Now you want to put oil or grease on the lip, and I like to put some on the outside, because the last thing I want to do is tear this seal up installing it. Let's see, a little tape around the outside I didn't want. Let's see here. There it is. That seal slides down just like it belongs there. Same tool, all the way down. Got to hold that tool together. Now we can clearly see inside there, you can see the groove for the snap ring. And we'll put snap ring back in place. Yeah, that pick will do it. A screwdriver, a pick, just about anything will put that in place. It's not a, yeah, it's in all the way. Next comes the factory dust seal. That's what I've decided to call that, as a dust seal. Then we put the dust cover on. That's the ornament that goes over it. Okay, I think I'll put a little grease on the inside of that just to make it slide real nice. A little on the outside. And we'll slide that back into place. Well, you know, I'd slam it down with something, but it's in. And the spring is around the outside just as it's supposed to be. The next thing would be this cover, which is really basically an ornament. But we want to put it on there because it's pretty. If there's any scratches or nastiness on it, I want to put them to the inside so we won't see them. Actually, I want to put them to the rear. Okay, I'll put them to the inside. All right. Now, we still have the old seal. So we're going to take the old seal and we're going to put it right back on, just for a minute. And then we'll take this tool, carefully slide it down here, and this will seat the cover. That way we seated that cover and never put a nick or a scratch in it. It's perfect. Now we'll slide that seal back off, and the whole thing now is pretty much assembled with the exception of filling it with fluid. Now you can wait and fill it with fluid on the bike, or you can do it the way I'm about to do it, which is to put the fluid in there first. Because getting that plug in there with the leg in the bike, you've got to just about pull the handlebars to get a tool in there. Can you show that, Mike? That distance right there makes it really hard to get a socket in there. Pull your handlebars, pad up your gas tank, all that sort of thing. I'd rather do it with the leg off of the bike. So what I'm going to do is move this leg again, remove the leg again, put it in the vise again, and what Mike's going to do is he's going to put the camera back on it. He's going to put the camera on a stand so he can give me a hand with this. And he wants more angle on it, so I'm going to give it to him. In fact, I think I'll also make it a little lower. And he seems to like that. So, we're going to do that now. Now, this plug, it's one of those things you want to say, don't try this at home. Because this thing has such a tremendous amount of spring pressure that when you take this plug out, it wants to fly across the room. When you go to put it back on, it takes both of us to push it down and start it. So, yeah, we're not real big guys. So I'm going to take this thing off now, still have the tape on the plug, and we're going to catch this thing as it comes off and hopefully not harm anyone, including the computer spring over there. I mean, computer screen. Okay. It's about ready. It's coming. And nobody was injured. Far out. That's a wonderful thing. Let me get a couple things out of the way here. All right. Now I'm going to take the spring and the spacer out of there and lay them down here on the bench. You want a little more length to that. Okay. There it is. Now we can pull this out, and under this is a washer. That looks like that. And then there's the spring. We could turn it upside down and dump it out, but it's already in the vise. So now we have it. Now I laid these out in order, the purpose being to show that there's tighter winds on this spring on this end. You see that, Mike? And those tight winds are supposed to go down. The wider ones here go to the top. What difference it makes, I really don't know, but it's the way it's designed, and it's the way Harley wants it put together. So I'm going to honor their wishes and do it the way they want it done. So now the next thing, we're getting near the end, it's not too bad. Next thing is we're going to put oil in this. And I've got the oil, I've got the funnel, and it's all clean. Everything in there looks good. So we're going to do that right about now. I think it's 26.8 ounces. I don't know, we measured it all out and have it ready to go. But I think it's like 26.8 ounces. We went a little bit light since we didn't wash the inside of the tubes or anything. Everything was pretty nice. Now, according to the factory, and it makes good sense to me, what they want you to do when you put the oil in it is work the leg up and down. See if I can move it far enough here. That's all the way, I think. Yeah, I'm not hitting the vise with it. Yeah, can you see the bubbles? Okay, 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. Bubble's still coming out. 9. 10. It quit bubbling? Yeah, the factory says 8 to 10 times, and there's 10. So I guess we got it. So now putting the spring back in, again, the tighter winds to the bottom. Yep. And then we got a washer here, the spacer washer. can't do anything but land in there, right? Let me see in there. Oop. It is crooked. Excuse me. All right, it's in there and flat now almost. Wait a minute. We'll use that end of it. It's in there flat now. Truth of the matter is, it's going to fall in there flat no matter what you do. It's the same size as the hole it's in. So it's going to end up the same. All right. And now, we know it's flat now. Okay. Now the next part of this is we're going to put this plug back on here. And in order to get that plug in there, Mike's going to have to put the camera back on the stand. If it comes out a little funky, I apologize in advance. It's the way it is. You ever try to screw a bolt into something when everybody's watching you? And he's got it. If the camera doesn't fall off the tripod, we're in good shape. Got it? Okay, here he comes. Clearing everything so he doesn't fall and break his neck. Okay, you got that there? Now, usually we have to stack our hands to do this. I think we got it, didn't we? Yes, I think we did. Good catch. Thank you. Now there is a torque spec on this too, and what I generally do is put the leg back in place, and once that leg is in place, then I can tighten it on the bike. Again, the bike helping me hold it in place. I'm going to pull this tape back just a little bit. I got kind of carried away putting it on. I don't want it to catch. Nah, it's not going to catch. Okay. It'll be fine. All right. That leg is all assembled and ready to go back on. So, get my grease gun here. Now, I always scrub the inside of the trees before putting the fork leg back in there, which I've done again here. I've got this clean. I've got the top one clean too. But this is where it's gonna get damaged, if anywhere, is down here, because anything that happens up here won't show. Okay. All right, so we're ready to put it in place. And here we go. It's showtime. Being very careful not to scratch it. Now we have a little measuring tool right here, so I can put the fork cap right there. And get it the same height as the other size. All right. There it is. And now that it's down, I can take this chisel out of here, because we did spread that leg far enough to take it out, which hopefully you saw in the previous video. And there is a torque spec for this, and I will definitely tighten it according to the spec. Did you leave it set on the torque wrench, Mike? I think you might have. Because if not, I'm going to have to look it up again.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did. And that spec is, looks to me to be 35 foot-pounds. And there it is. I think the only thing left is to tighten the fork, the plug in the top. And there is a spec for that, and we made it. Okay? So I guess that's it. And it looks beautiful. The polishing job Mike did is great. And all we need to do now is put the wheel back on. I don't think we need to show everybody how to put a wheel on again. But there it is, all done. So we'll be doing something else soon as we get this down and off the lift. So I hope that was helpful to somebody. So until then, see you out on the road.